Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. There are 5 commanders-in-chief for the army of Duryodhana, and they are the obstacles on our spiritual path. They actually indication of 5 obstacles on our spiritual path. And one by one, we should kill all these generals because they separate us from Krishna and preventing us from attaining him. So the first commander-in-chief is Bhishma, second is Drona, third is Karna, fourth is Shalya, and fifth is Ashwathama. So they represent different obstacles which we have. So Bhishma, he personifies the first attachment that hides Krishna from us and which we have to eliminate. This is the attachment to relatives. They are not just blood relations, they are close people, our friends, foes, and there are so many others. And there are someone whom we hate and someone we especially favorably disposed. So all these things. And this is actually very difficult attachment. Most difficult is we are attached our attachment to the family. Even such great personalities like Vyasadeva, when he is actually a renounced person, he was staying in the forest and he was in ashram, he's a great yogi, mystic, and so many things were there. But when his son was born, Sukadeva Goswami, and he left home immediately, Vyasdev was running behind him, crying, "Oh my son, oh my son." So Suta Goswami is praying, Yam pravajantanu peta peta kritam dvaipayano virahakato ajrahava putret tanmayatayo tarvobhine dustam sarvabhutam hidayam munimanatosmi. So he was crying, Hey Putra, Hey Putra. So this is our greatest affection because our formation was affected by people who are close to us. We are because of them only, right? Our parents, our siblings, and all. So we are because of them. We are like this. So this is why it is very difficult. So this way or one way or another, they are influencing our life. Our material I is a result of material attachment. So that is Bhishmacharya. And then there is Dronacharya. Dronacharya personifies the second type of attachment. Drona sold himself to Kauravas for the sake of material comforts, money, and conveniences. Although he was well aware he didn't have to do it, but nevertheless he did. So there is a tendency in us also. We are ready to reject Krishna for the sake of temporary material comforts. And people are working so many hours extra so that they can make some material comfort so that I can have good house, good car, good so many things. And we are not knowing that so much time is wasted which is going against Krishna. Like I am not able to give time for Krishna, right, because of these things. But we are okay. Why to take so seriously? We still have so much time in life. Why is there so much hurry? So we are postponing because we want material comfort. So that is help making us away. This is the Drona Charya, an obstacle. And people, they are sacrificing so much. Like people, they are not even coming when the parents die in India. They are in the US. They don't even come also to see the parents dying. Because why? They are so much into material comforts. They say, if I come to India, I may lose my visa and I lose my material comforts. That means they are giving more priority to material comforts than even some uh, 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 basic responsibilities of the parents, right? They're ready to give up that responsibilities also. So that is very unfortunate. They're ready to reject, and they are ready to reject their own family attachments and they are much more detached. They are rejecting Krishna also. That's why Kaviraj, Govindadas Kaviraj, he sings Bajahure Mana. In that song he says, Vifala sevino kripana durjana chapala sukala bhalagire. He says that for a fraction of flickering happiness I have served wicked and miserly people. So this is the tendency of the people now. People serve themselves up on a plate and take all of me, just pay me properly. So that is the mentality. So material attachment is a very powerful thing. People, uh, for the sake of money, material comforts, they can do anything. Like Srila Prabhupada, when he was with Western disciples in Vrindavan, and some big business people, they came from Lohi Bazar to meet Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said that, you know, even if you give $1 million to my disciples, they will not leave me. And they all thought, my God, $1 million, and no. And Prabhupada turned to his disciples and say, it's too early to rejoice. Nobody offered you that much money. That means if we get that much, we are not sure. No, I am not. I can guarantee at least myself. If I get 100 crore rupees, I will not be sitting in the morning and giving Bhagavatam class. I will be affected by it. I was thinking, where I should I invest and all. So the point is that we will get affected. That's why Krishna don't want to give. He knows what will happen to us. He could have given his Lakshmipati. For him to give us material opulence, how much time it will take? But he don't want to give to his especially for devotees. He himself says that Yasyaha managrahanani harishya taddanam shane. If I show mercy, I'll take away everything. So this is the second obstacle, the material facet. Third one is karna. Karna means ear. This is very relevant for nowadays. Why is ear an obstacle? Because these are the there are two ways to explain. First is we listen, we get to meditate on what we hear. So many advertisements are there, so much internet is there, so much Amazon Prime is there, Amazon is there for everyone. So such a and Zomato, Swiggy, and whatnot. So many things are there. We just have to everything hear and book it. So the sound is just hearing the word Amazon only. Many people get so much joy in the heart, and uh, so this is why, because that is an obstacle. We are hearing, we meditate on it. This is if we hear about all these, Krishna is telling Arjuna, this is the greatest obstacle. Yamimam pushpitamacham. Second is the obstacle can be even more like hearing. In Vedic society means hearing from holy scriptures only, Shastra. Hearing from Shastra may become an obstacle on the path if we take advantage of them to justify ourselves. So, in other words, like Karna is taking advantage of the holy scriptures to justify his attachments, his wrongdoings, his tendency to dominate and exploit. They are actually using Shastras only, but they are trying to do it wrong. Like Karna, he is a very noble, generous man. He gave his armor also, and but he gave his earrings, armor, everything, protective armors. But it is actually something. He has very noble ideas and all. But what is this noble Karna doing? He is looking for pretenders like Duryodhana. He is ready to give his life for him. Why is all this? To get power. The true motive is a desire to rule and control. That is how Karna served. That is the reason Karna served Duryodhana. And then we have the last two obstacles. One is criticism, is an attempt to belittling others. This is Shalya, the most potent weapon. It's a drat you can pierce into the heart with into the other person's heart with our words. Because a man with inferiority complex is always criticizing, humiliating, trying to belittle others. Shelley is a very typical example. he has he was very brilliant at it, and he was using it to serve Pandavas. But ultimately, it is taking us away from Krishna only. If we do it any other way, So Shalya, we have to use it the tendency to criticize materialistic way of life. That's all. Shalya means spear or a drat. So that means Yudhishthira actually tells him, please demoralize Karna because you will be his charioteer in future. And Shalya does the job very nicely. And he gives very nice, interesting stories also. Shalya, he tells to Karna that when he was driving his chariot, he said, "Oh Karna, I'll tell you a story. Once there was a wealthy Vaishya in South India. This Vaishya has sons. Uh, then Karna was asking, did he? I wonder what happened next. So then he says that there was a crow that ate the son's remnants of food. It became very fat and it was well nourished. So this black crow became so proud, thinking it was the best. And he asked, Karna, do you want to know what happened next? He says, yes, yes. So then he says, once there was fans flying over the place and the people were watching them in delight, looking into the sky. Now the crow felt very hurt because it was being ignored. And Karna, then he says that the children, they incited the crow. They said, now show these fans how well you can fly. So you are the best. This is truth. Now the crow became very puffed up. Its eyes lit up. It soared into the sky and cried to the swans, "Hey swans, I challenge you!" The swans looked at it and they got bewildered. He says, swans live. No, we don't know. The crow asked, "Huh?" Uh, the crow asked, "Who is better in flying?" And the swan says, "We don't know." So uh, perhaps you are better. But the crow says, "No, I am going to show you 100 different methods of flying." And it started showing this is everything. And the swan said, okay, let us fly across the sea. We can only know one side. And then they flapped their wings two times and then started flying over the sea. And this crow, it also started going. And after some time, it could not fly anymore. It became tired and it started coming down and down, and water was touching its body. The swan says, "What is this style of flying? You are touching the water." Crow said, "Arey, I'm going to die. Please help me." And then they brought him to the land. So Shalya says to Karna, "Karna, do you recognize yourself in this crow? You ate Vaishya's remnants, who was instigated by the son of Vaishyas, then they are telling you are eating the remnants of Duryodhana, and then Duryodhana said, "Hey Karna, you are the bravest. Come on!" And you are going and fighting with this all these people. So this is the criticism is the fourth obstacle we have. We should not criticize. We should not hear. We may not criticize, but we will like to hear others getting criticized. That tendency will be there. So we should be careful. And the fourth one we all know is Ashwatthama. He is very stubborn. Stubbornness for what? He is standing for a, even though he's wrong, but he is ready to fight for it. So that is the problem. Stubbornness of a horse. So his determination is wrongly applied. He's very determined person. Even Duryodhana was not happy with his what activities he did. He says, I may. This is a worst thing actually. Our desire for independent or internal atheistic nature sometimes make us very stubborn. One steps into a path and being aware that this path is wrong, still he says it does not matter. May I be worse off, may I kill everyone or let them kill me. So this is the mentality. So this is what overruns. So he is they people they race towards their own death. They lack humility and very destructive determination. This is all Ashwatthama. And so this is the fourth obstacle. And dishonest people, they all serve in this way. So we can see that this tendency is there for people. So here we are seeing King Prachini Barshan. He is going to he is getting instructions from Narada Muni. He is in a comfort zone. Narada Muni is kicking him out. So it is said that procrastination and we will remain in that zone as long as we are hit by a crisis. That is Krishna's way of waking us up. And here Prachini Barshat, he was hit by uh, this tendency. So then he says to Prachini Barshat that I'll narrate a story of Puran. Try to hear from me with great attention. So he is trying to help him. He says once past lived a king named Puranjana who was celebrated for his great activities. He had a friend named Avijnata, the unknown one. No one could understand the activities of Avijnata. So within this, we have heard this very many times. We'll see what Prabhupada has to share some of his points. So Prabhupada says this body is Puranjana, and we usually engage this body for sense gratification because one who is in this bodily conception of life feels that ultimate goal of life is to serve the senses. See, now there was one devotees, they went to some program in the West, and then they conducted a program, and then they fed nice prasad and all. After that, they saw the reviews in that group where that other there was some gathering, some what do you call it? Some camp or something. So these people, they wrote a review. Outside people, they said these people are very nice and all, but they are very strange. They don't enjoy sex life, and they write that uh, they think because they follow Krishna, they don't enjoy sex. And then they were writing down, what if they come to know there is no Krishna? They didn't even enjoy also. So this is actually what people feel, that array, let me enjoy. We don't know what is going to happen. So the people who are in the bodily conception of life feel that ultimate goal of life is to serve the senses only. So this is the process of even karma kanda also. One who has no inner knowledge, who does not know that is actually the spirit soul living within the body, who is simply enamored with the dictations of the senses, is called materialistic. And a materialistic person interested in sense gratification can be called Puranjana. So all these people. And Prabhupada right nice point. Because such a materialistic person utilizes his senses according to his whims, he may also be called a king. An irresponsible king takes the royal position to be his personal property and misuse his treasury for sense gratification. So that's actually what happens. The word Brit Shrava is also significant. The word Shravaha means fame. The living entity is famous from ancient times, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. Na jayate mriteva kadachin. So the living entity is never born and never dies because he is eternal. His activities are eternal, although they are performed in different types of body. Na hanyate hanyamane shariri. He does not die even after the annihilation of the body. Thus, the living entity transmigrate from one body to another and perform various activities. So, this is the problem. Prabhupada right nice point. He says that in each body, the living entity performs so many acts. Sometimes he become a great hero, like Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, in the modern Napoleon, Hitler. The activity of such men are certainly very great. But as soon as their bodies are finished, everything else is finished. Then they remain in name only. Therefore, a living entity may be called Brichrava. He may have a great reputation for various type of activities. Nevertheless, he has a friend whom he does not know. So this is the state of all of us. We don't know our friend. He is there. We are not able to hear him. That's why we need a spiritual master. So he comes outside as spiritual master and tells us. Materialistic persons do not understand that God is present as a super soul who is situated within the heart of every living entity. Although Paramatma sits besides Jivatma as a friend, the Jivatma living in it does not know it. Consequently, he is described as Avijñata Sakha, meaning one who has an unknown friend. So the word Avijñata Chetas is also significant because a living entity works hard under the directions of Paramatma and is carried away by the laws of nature. Nonetheless, he thinks himself independent of the stringent laws of nature. So he says, Achedhyoyam adayoyam akledo shosha evacha nityas sarva gatastanur achaloyam sanatanaha. So the living entity is sanatan, eternal. He cannot be killed by any weapon. So Prabhupada is telling that Sarvasya chaham hridihannivishto mattasmitir jnanam apohanam cha. So Lord is there in the heart as Paramatma. He is only giving us remembrance and forgetfulness and everything. But we have to desire properly. That then He will give accordingly. If we desire for Him, He will give. The Lord as Paramatma is seated in every heart. He gives directions to the living entity, but according to our desires. So that's why He says, in whatever way the living entity desires. So this is a very important point. What we are desiring, Paramatma is giving. That's why He is not responsible. Bhagwan He will do what is good for us, but Paramatma is not like that. He's there, is act every entity in whatever way the living entity desires. So in this life, in his previous lives and the lives, living entity does not know that the Lord is giving him a chance to fulfill all kinds of desires. No one can fulfill any desires without the sanction of Lord. All the facilities given by the Lord are unknown to the conditioned souls. Now, why it is important? Then only way is we have to change our desires. And only way we can change our desires is association. If we are associating uh, uh, with non-devotees and materialistic people in form of internet and all, then we get that desires. But we are hearing Bhagavatam from devotees, we are getting their association. So in that way, we change our desire. That's all. Formula is very simple. Only thing is application is very hard. So we have to hear again and again and again so that it changes our desire. King Puranjana began to search for a suitable place to live, and thus he traveled all over the world. Even after a great deal of traveling, he could not find a place just to his liking. Finally, he became morose and disappointed. Prabhupada says the traveling of Puranjana is similar to traveling of modern hippies. Generally, hippies are sons of great fathers and great families. It is not that they are always poor, but somewhere or other they abandoned the shelter of their rich fathers and traveled all over the world. As stated in this verse, the living entity wants to become a Prabhu or master. The word Prabhu means master, but actually, living entity is not a master. He is eternally servant of God. Radhanath Maharaj says, first we want to become Prabhu. First Das. First Das and Das, then Prabhu. Then we want to start competing with Mahaprabhu. So, when a living entity abandons the shelter of Krishna and tries to become Prabhu independently, he travels all over the creation. None is 84 lakh species, millions and millions and trillions of planets within the creation. The living entity wanders throughout these various types of bodies and throughout different planets, and thus he is like Puranjara who's traveling. So we have done all these things, and so much we have traveled, and now at last we have come. And a person who mistakes, and this is actually Narottam Das Thakur is telling that karma kanda, jnana kanda, kevala vishera bhanda. A person who mistakes this poison to be nectar and drinks it travels in different species of life. Kadhara bhakshana kare. And accordingly to his body, he eats all types of abominable things. For instance, When the living entity in the body of a hog eats stools, and it might have happened to many of us, we don't know only what type of animal bodies we got. Otherwise, we are there in millions of lifetimes. We don't want to. That Krishna is very merciful. He makes us forget. If you remember that body, na, that I was in a hog body, I was eating stool, we'll become so miserable that we cannot enjoy this life only. If I know last life what happened to me, before life what happened. Even this life things also, if you remember now, all the tragedies what happened to us, who bet us in the school, how we were humiliated in the school, how many times and how much we got less marks, our mother bet, our this happened, that happened. So, school life, I remember it's so miserable. Some days was, but somehow Krishna is very merciful. Some humiliating things, some miserable things. Him don't make us remember so that we can enjoy now. If you remember, we cannot enjoy this life. This life humiliations and miseries only we cannot handle. What to speak of previous lives? But we lived all these things. When the living entity in the body of a hog, it eats stool and right, and in the body he eats all kind of refuge, even pus and mucus, and enjoyed it. Thus, Narottam Das Thakur points out that living entity travels in different types of bodies and eat all kinds of abominable things. When he does not become ultimately happy, he becomes morose and take to the ways of hippies. Thus, in this verse, it is said, "Na anurupam." So now they don't take hippies. Their whole life they want money of the parents. At least hippies are not taking money from the parents. Now people are taking money from the parents and becoming hippies. They travel, they go to pubs and discos and dance. It's a very worse situation now. This is because in any form of life, thus in this verse it is said, Na Rup Anurupam, the king could not find a place suitable for his purpose. This is because in any form of life or any planet in the metal world, a living entity cannot be happy because everything in the metal world is unsuitable for spirit soul. This is very important. Anything it is, if it is not suitable for us, no matter how much we do. Like if a person is a small child is there, for him, only suitable thing is mother's milk. Any other thing is not suitable for him. Similarly, uh, similarly for us also, these things in this material world not suitable. As stated in this verse, the living entity independently wants to become a Prabhu. But as soon as he gives up this idea and becomes a servant of God, Krishna, his happiness immediately begins. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, మిచే మాయార్ వేషే యచ్చబేషే కచ్చు హబూడు బూబాయ్. My dear living entity, why are you being carried away by the waves of Maya? Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriday sajjana tishtati. So Lord is there in the heart. So living entity is carried by the mission of the body through so many species of life and so many planets. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the living entity who is being carried away in these bodily missions to be placed in so many different circumstances, he advises that one surmounts the waves of Maya by surrendering unto Krishna. जीव कृष्ण दास ये विश्वास कर ले तो आ दुखानाय. As soon as we confront Krishna, Krishna advises, Sarva Dharman Paritidya Mamekam Sharanam Raja. Thus, we are immediately relieved from traveling from one body to another and from one planet to another. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Brahmanda Brahmate Kona Bhagyavan Jeev. So much Prabhupada is writing about travel. If while traveling, a living entity becomes fortunate enough to become blessed by the association of devotees, and he comes to Krishna conscious, his real life begins. This Krishna conscious movement is giving all wandering living entities a chance to take to the shelter of Krishna and thus become happy. In this verse, the word Vimana Iva are very significant in this material world. Even the great king of heaven is also full of anxiety. If even Lord Brahma is full of anxiety, what of those ordinary living entities who are working within the planets? as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Bholar Loka Punaravartano Arjuna. Prabhupada is writing such a huge purport on this. So from the higher planets in the metal world down to lowest, all these places of misery within repeated birth and death take place in the metal world. A living entity is never satisfied, even in the position of Brahma or in the position of Indra or Chandra, one is full of anxiety simply because he has accepted this material world as a place of happiness. Okay, thank you all very much. We'll discuss, we'll continue tomorrow. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.